Hey, well, welcome everybody. It's good to see a combination here of great community leaders, civic leaders, industry, academia, and then also those beautiful looking people in the uniforms actually walking around. I am Corey Damon. I am the McConnell Air Force Base Installation Commander, but also the 22nd Air Refueling Wing Commander. And so what I'm excited about today is to share a little bit about the operations of McConnell Air Force Base and what it really means to work not only with the Air Force or the Department of Defense, but to work and live and befriend, if you will, McConnell Air Force Base and its airmen. Our mission is to provide air refueling anytime, anywhere. And so you saw some of the videos earlier about what that means to the global conflicts, and what we like to say is we project power and deliver hope across the globe. And we are just darn lucky to be part of that. And we really appreciate when we can get industry and academia involved in that as well. And so some of the tenets of what we work on are readiness, which is both operational readiness and personal readiness, resilience. I call these the 4 R's: readiness and resilience, which is also personal resilience, but also, our infrastructure resilience, those types of resilient activities, and then recruiting and retention. And I won't leave here today without reminding you that we have an air show coming up here in August. It will be hot, but it'll still be awesome. But what I want to do is share a little bit about how we get from our history in the Air Force to how we get into an innovative space and how we accelerate change in the Air Force. And that difference between going from history to stuff that you want to hold on to is what we call heritage, and bringing that heritage forward. But if you go back to 1922, which is when the first endurance flight of airplanes happened, 35 hours they were in the air. You can't get to where we are now against the enemies we have now without innovation. And that innovation can come from all of you. We cannot do it ourselves in the Air Force, especially not anymore. The amount of manpower, resources, facilities, and relationships that we just don't have within our Air Force organically really requires industry and academia to help us out with that. And so making that leap from heritage to innovation is trust. And the ability for us to trust each other, to provide new perspectives, provide new ideas, and accelerate change is very important to us. So yeah, 1922 first flight for a endurance flight. Fast forward to last week. Last week we did around the world with a KC-46 without landing, all the way around the world. 4 aerial refuelings with other airplanes. And we were able to refuel on the way in combat too, both in the Pacific. We did C-17s in combat over Iraq. We refueled F-15Es. And then on the way back through, we refueled over Kansas, B-2s, stealth bombers. All of that happened not because of one airman, not because of one weapon system, but because of a network of people, a network of systems, and a network of solutions that have not just come from Air Force people themselves, but it's come from all of you. And so we are excited to have you here today and to start to build more on those partnerships. And for those that haven't worked with the DoD before, this is your opportunity to learn how to work with the DoD. And so current projects and collaborative opportunities and sustainment, logistics, infrastructure improvements, technology. I mean, there's no better place than here in Wichita to find that engaging talent, fully engaged talent, the energy that defines the air capital of the world. And it's just tremendous to be in charge of a base, McConnell Air Force Base, that gets to live and thrive in this community with all of you. And so I know some of the contractors here, or some of the folks are from outside of Wichita. Who's from outside of Wichita that came here today? Yeah. All right. Well, you're good too. Wherever community you're from is great. We'd love to work with you as well. We've got such a great spirit of innovation now in the Air Force that we didn't necessarily have before. Probably about 10 to 15 years ago, we really opened up the aperture of innovation and how we can work, not just with the Lockheeds and the Boeings, and I see the Airbus sign people over there, but how can we work with small businesses? Because that's where a lot of the innovation comes from. A lot of the new ideas come from these small businesses, and it's a harder cost to entry, right, to get into the DoD network for innovation and contracts and sustainment. So we're just really excited to have you here for that, and we really appreciate you. For technical expertise, again, we've had to, I would call it, skinny down the amount of people we have in the Air Force, and now we just completely rely on outside expertise for a lot of the things we do. And so that's where you're all going to come in. McConnell Air Force Base itself has over $1 billion impact to the Wichita or to the whole, southeast Kansas area. $1 billion, and that has a lot to do with the contracts that we bring onto base, those solutions, but also just our families living in the community. Only 10% of the housing on base, or only 10% of our people live on base. The rest of them live in the communities, and it's the same for every other base that you all are from, or those other garrisons that you work well with. Is most of the people live and work outside of the base. But we really just want to say thank you for being here. I think this is an exciting day for industry. I think it's an exciting day for us. We've got some other speakers here, but then I know we're going to break into kind of some groups to start to talk about some of those solutions that we need to find answers to continually, so that we can be that projecting power platform and that airplane or that team that delivers hope across the globe. So I'll just say one more time, thank you. I'm going to introduce Colonel Hemphill, who is, if I'm the installation commander, he's like the guy that actually does all the work. But he's got a great team here. Most of his leaders are here as well. So we got security forces, his deputies back there, and Steve. We got the logistics readiness squadron, contracting. We've got our innovation team, our innovation cell here, many others that can really help kind of define what we need and what we are looking for in here. But I'm going to turn it over to Colonel Hemphill to give a few extra remarks as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
If we can go back down. Maybe. There we go. Thanks, sir. Good deal. All right, so good afternoon. Not going to stay up here for but a few minutes, just to reiterate some things that Colonel Damon just talked about. Number one being, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here to help us, as it says there, fueling industry here in Wichita and for McConnell Air Force Base. First, I'd like to thank the Defense Innovation OnRamp Hub, Kansas, for hosting and what phenomenal food they had laid out for us here this morning. Somebody said it'd be better in the Air Force, but we have the #1 dining facility in the Air Force, just so you know. So if you ever come on base, we'll definitely take you there. Other folks I'd like to thank is the contracting squadron itself. They've done some phenomenal planning, being led by Ms. Efferson and Colonel Thompson, but the whole team, our contracting team, came together to make this happen. This is the first ever industry day for McConnell Air Force Base. The first ever industry day. So what I told them yesterday when we sat down and spoke is that they've already won. That everything that comes out of this is the benefits of what they've already planned, and that we made this event even happen. And so through their partnerships, the network that Colonel Damon talked about, all the networking, the folks, the relationships, because relationships matter, and that's how we get things done. So if we don't make those strong relationships and community partnerships, nothing happens for anybody, for any of us. And in reality, you are part of our team. When we say Team McConnell, all the contractors that are in this room, you're part of Team McConnell as well, because you're providing our service or will provide a service to us and our airmen and our families. And so we appreciate you for what you've already done and what you're going to do in the future for us, because competition is great, and having options, especially small business options, really matter. I worked at the Defense Logistics Agency before I came to Wichita, and I will tell you, we're always looking for how do we build the industrial base. because without the industrial base, we don't get anything done anywhere in the world, not just in Wichita. So just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to participate and be a provider of many things to us. And I know that, folks say it's hard doing business with the DoD, but I'm here to tell you it's easy to do business with McConnell Air Force Base. So as you see at the end of this presentation that the team has put together, you'll see the requirements that we're looking at, so you can be deliberate about how you want to inject yourself into the process and provide a greater service for our good. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I would now like to introduce the 22nd Contracting Squadron's Director of Business Operations and Small Business Professional, Ms. Brandy Epperson.
Thank you all for coming. We are so excited to have you. Like the Colonel mentioned, this is the first industry day that we've had at McConnell. So it's been a learning experience, and we're looking forward to your feedback after the event to tell us what we can do better and what did work well for you. So we could not have done this without our partners at the Defense Innovation Unit OnRamp, Kansas. This is their facility. They put together the food, which we all know was fantastic. And they put together all of the technical aspects of what you see. So we really do appreciate everything that they've done. So with that, I would like to introduce you to Rob Carpenter, the head of the DIU OnRamp, Kansas.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you guys for being here. First off, my name is Rob Carpenter. I'm the managing director of the Defense Innovation OnRamp Hub, Kansas. And we're one of 5 launch locations for the OnRamp Hub program, which supports the National Security Innovation Network, which is a program office within the Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU. The OnRamp Hub program is a strategic initiative by the Department of Defense designed to bridge the gap between traditional defense contractors and the vast pool of untapped innovation within small businesses. Oh, never mind, found the clicker. All right, now this makes more sense. The OnRamp Hub program, again, is a strategic initiative to bridge that gap between small businesses who want to bring technology to the DoD and just don't know how to do it. And so the hubs act as an accessible entry point or a front door for innovators to collaborate directly with the DoD, facilitating discovery, development, deployment of new technologies, processes, and applications critical to national security. The OnRamp Hub Kansas acts as an off-base physical space where the community, like you guys, can connect with the defense innovation ecosystem, as well as our local mission partners. And we're happy to host McConnell Air Force Base today. So we support the private sector through the review of dual use technology opportunities, small business coaching, introducing ensign programming, and by hosting engagement events where a community can hear about the challenges faced by our mission partners, both here in our area and across the globe. For our mission partners, we connect them to relevant technologies to address their challenges. We provide opportunities to see emerging technologies through showcase events and virtual pitch days, which we have one coming up July 22nd through the 26th. And we can give you a little bit more information about that if you're interested in participating as a mission partner. And we, to those squadron commanders out there with us today, we'd love to connect with you to hear about your pain points and explore ways that we can help address them through our connections into DIU. So thanks for joining us today here at the hub. If you have questions, find someone in a FirePoint shirt. We're back at the back or over here. Love to find ways to connect your technologies or your great ideas to support our mission partners, both here in our community and across the globe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Epperson and Mr. Carpenter. Please welcome Master Sergeant Amar from the 22nd Air Refueling Wings Innovation Lab.
Greetings. So I am Master Sergeant Carl Amar. I'm the superintendent for the Innovation Lab on McConnell. And as you can see, our mission and vision, to sum it up, we want to take the ideas and make them reality. Okay, everything that helps us progress forward comes from somebody's thought, and we like to provide that space for them to come and explore those thoughts and make them better. All right. So yes, we do support the small business, the sibbers and sitters. We like to develop our connections with the community, Exploration Place, Wichita State. And we also provide the airmen on base and anybody that has base access the training on some equipment that they might not be familiar with. So this is one thing that makes us unique. A lot of innovation labs around the Air Force, they deal with 3D printing, virtual reality, but they don't really have a maker space to help those ideas become a reality. That's one thing we are very proud of, is that we have a full facility where we have CNC machines, we have lasers, laser etchers, and a lot of different types of additive manufacturing. One of the things that brings a lot of our airmen to us is the possibility of playing and learning these tools, playing with and learning these tools, and the fact that their thoughts can become a reality. So some of the ideas that have come through the lab that we have actually made into a success is, as you can see on the top, this is a mobile portable or a power station that is solar. Now, a lot of people come through and they say, well, that's already out there. And it is, but what we have done is we have created one from scratch and developed it specifically for our mission needs. By doing that, we make it transportable, deployable, and repairable, all by our local airmen. Another big success that we had in the past was our boom maintenance stand attachment. There was an issue with performing maintenance on the 46 boom. When that was being lowered onto a stand, sometimes there was contact and causing damage. One of the airmen from Age just had this idea, why don't we make our own attachment? So we came over, we helped them develop it, 3D printed it, and then tested it, and it was success. Since that has been installed, there have been 0 instances, and one of the biggest instances that this has prevented was a $2 million complete reskin of the boom. Currently, we're working on a fuel water separator with an airman from our POL. He kept noticing that a lot of our contaminated fuel was being treated as hazardous waste. So he is developing a fuel water separator that not only returns the fuel back to Age equipment to be used, but also has a system to make the water safe to be returned to the environment, therefore reducing the hazardous waste from this issue by roughly 90%. And other projects, we're continuing with our alternative energy. We are introducing wind power to our solar box. We've been working with the KC-46 making some EFB mounts. And then the APU remote start, which is a need that was brought up, and we're using our additive manufacturing and our electronics to fill that need. This is our contact information. So if you do wish to reach out to us, I also put some flyers up front, has our email address. Please give us a call, email us, and we're more than happy to look into whatever information you want to share with us. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, Master Sergeant Amar. The 22nd Contracting Squadron strives to support small businesses. We value our relationships with small businesses in the local area and across the country. To speak on small business programs, please welcome Sarah Haymaker from the Small Business Administration.
I probably actually need it shorter. I'm Sarah Haymaker. I am the Deputy District Director here at the office in Wichita. We cover the western 2/3 of Kansas, so everything west of Topeka. One of the things that we know is that we need more small businesses involved in government contracting, period, full stop. We just need more. So one of the things that I want to talk to you about is what we do in general for small businesses to help you prepare for government contracting, and then we'll talk about contracting programs. So the first thing is that we offer resource partners. We have SBA funded partners that provide business counseling, mentoring. All of these are generally free and confidential services. Maybe you've heard about SCORE or the Kansas Small Business Development Centers or SBDC. Those are SBA funded partners that offer counseling for any phase of business. But then once you're in business, we want you to grow and expand. So what better way to get ready to take on government contracts than to get some more money so you are on those contracts? So we help with that access to capital. So I've highlighted a couple of things that might be very important for government contractors, and that would be revolving credit or working capital that's needed to fulfill your orders. We also can help with purchasing, renovating, expanding your facilities, inventory, equipment, and machinery, and of course, land, real estate, things like that, things that can help you really expand and grow that business, all of which is very necessary when you start taking on government contracts. You heard mentioned before the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer. We do not offer money through those programs, but we oversee it for all of the agencies that are involved in that. So if you're a business that's involved primarily in doing some sort of research or some advanced manufacturing technology, all of which are usually DLA and others are very interested in that, that is a program offered in part through SBA. And we have our delivery partners are here today, Wichita State Strategic Initiatives Group. They offer counseling and assistance through that. Very important for our SBIR, STTR award recipients. The other thing that we offer are surety bonds. So when you're getting to contracting, particularly in construction, then you may need to provide a surety bond on even a bid bond to even bid on those contract opportunities. So SBA, much like our guaranteed loan programs, we offer a surety bond guarantee. So if someone that maybe doesn't have necessarily the full amount of cash on hand, working capital for the bonding amount needed, SBA steps in with our authorized surety bond representatives to say, go ahead and give them that bond. SBA will provide that guarantee. That's really, really helpful for construction companies as they're growing and taking on those bigger contracts. And then we also help with exporting. So this might not be something you're thinking about sitting at a McConnell Industry Day, but exporting is also a really great way to grow your business. Not to mention that you may be producing something, a product, a part for some sort of machine that can also be exported. Something that I like to remind people at this point is that even if you're not directly exporting your product to another country, say you're providing our friends at Airbus the buckle for a seat belt that goes on a plane that's made here, then you are actually considered an exporter. And so what that, as an indirect exporter, what that offers you is that offers you a greater guarantee. The bank can get a greater guarantee from SBA if they loan you money. It offers you unique opportunities to get working capital that's not available to everyone. So it's something to consider. We also know that people that export stay in business longer. They have 30-something% more employees. So we really like to encourage people to look at all of their options, exporting and government contracting being great ways to grow businesses. These are the kinds of things that we help. So loans, we do help find buyers in some degree, but mostly we provide, as far as like STEP, that's done through the state. The Kansas Department of Commerce is a STEP recipient. They can help you with trade shows, marketing, that sort of thing. So the real reason that you're probably here is federal contracting. And we know that people that are involved in federal contracting really have an opportunity for exponential growth. We really want more people involved in federal contracting. But we understand it can be overwhelming and seem a little bit, lots of paperwork. I see several people in the room that are already doing it. They can tell you the successes. But what we do is we offer SBA is in control of all of the federal certification programs now. It used to be that some of these were separated out in other agencies. We now have all of them. The reminder, these are only for federal contracts. You're welcome to get these as marketing for other types of contracts, but these are the ones that count for federal contracting. It's veteran-owned, service-disabled, veteran-owned, women-owned, economically disadvantaged women-owned, hub zone or historically underutilized business zones, and the 8A Business Development Program. So one thing you'll see with all of the certification programs are some common things throughout. You must be small by SBA standards. And then for those that are woman or veteran, you must be 51% owned and controlled by somebody of that status. So either a female, a veteran, a service-disabled veteran. So the things to remember about veteran and service-disabled veteran, the only agency that has sole source requirements for veteran-owned is going to be the VA. 7% of VA contracts are set aside for veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned. The full government will have goals and the ability to set aside for service-disabled veteran-owned. And one thing to tell you is that on August 1, new applications for veteran-owned small businesses and service-disabled will be pausing while we do some system upgrades. So we encourage you, if you're not already certified and are thinking of becoming certified, to just hang on a second and wait until after that upgrade. We are going to pause August 1 and it should resume first part of September. But you'll see that on the application page. Woman-owned, again, 51%. And we have two different kinds of women-owned. We have woman-owned small business and economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. So you can see the differences here. Both have to be 51% owned and controlled by women. When we start looking at economically disadvantaged, we're looking at things like your personal net worth, your adjusted gross income, how much you can have in personal assets. This is the same now. We've made some changes in the last couple of years. This is now the same on as far as the financial requirements as it is for our 8A Business Development Program. The thing about WASB and the Ed WASB is that those are only allowed set-asides on specific NAICS codes. So we have a list on the SBA website that'll give you those codes and it will break it down. These are eligible for WASB. These are eligible for Ed WASB. So you can see some examples here. And the way we determine those are industries that are underrepresented, where women are underrepresented in those industry codes. So a couple I thought might apply in this group a little bit. So you could do a set aside for WASB on hardware manufacturing. Or you could get more for economic disadvantage. You can say machine shops. That's one that shows up as an economic disadvantage WASB. Again, you'll see we have a pause on new applications beginning August 1. Maybe you're going to see a theme coming through this in a second. Hub zone, okay, so there's no requirement for women or a particular race, but you must have your principal office has to be located in a hub zone. A hub zone is a historically underutilized business zone. It is one where HUD makes that determination. It's based on unemployment levels, it's based on income, things of that nature. So you have to be a US citizen. 35% of your employees have to live in a hub zone. It does not have to be the hub zone where your office is, but they have to live in a hub zone. For instance, there is a large chunk of census tracts around McConnell Air Force Base that are hub zone designated. So businesses in the area around McConnell could potentially be hub zone certified. This is a map of Kansas. We also are fortunate to be one of the states where the governor has designated additional hub zones for the state of Kansas. Her team is currently working on new designations. These are ones that are done every year. They're going to be rural areas. But I would show you, if you can see that really dark concentration right there in Wichita, those are all census tract hub zones. So there are a lot of hub zones in Wichita. But these other ones, these big red squares, those are whole county designated. So primarily they're rural. But those are whole county, and then you'll have census tracted individuals. You can go to our hub zone map, enter your address of your business, and find out if you're in a hub zone. You would also want to do something similar for your employees. Again, we have a pause on new applications. I will say though, if you are hub zone and that comes up during this pause, you're still going to have to do your recertification kind of outside the system, but the people will be notified. 8A business development. So this is a 9-year contracting program where we're really working with a company to take them from whatever phase they're at now and to really help them grow through government contracting. We offer training and counseling and business advice and review of business plans. These are the general requirements: 51% owned and controlled by US citizens who are socially and economically disadvantaged. Then you've got those same kind of personal financial tests. However, if you may have heard of there was a court case, Ultima versus the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So what this case did is that prior to this case, SBA was allowed to use a rebuttable presumption of disadvantaged status based on things like race. So this case does not allow us to do that any longer. So you can see we're barred now from using a presumption of social disadvantage. So people can still apply for the program. People that were already in the program had to provide us with a narrative telling us how they've been disadvantaged in their career, their education, something along those lines that kind of like disadvantaged them getting ahead in the business world, essentially. Fortunately, we're kind of past that narrative point right now, but now you will have to choose what your objective distinguishing feature is. And so there's a list there, and you still will have to submit a narrative and the list, of course, is other, right? So there's all of these things you can see, whether it's your race, your sex, your sexual orientation, but also it could just be an environment isolated from mainstream American society. And then you'll still need to provide specific claims, incidents of bias or discriminatory conduct that impacted your advancement. So that's where we are right now. But you can still apply, except for starting August 1, there will be a pause in new applications. One of the other things that's kind of great is that we did get another extension on the bona fide place of business. So in the past, if you're doing construction contracts, you had to have an office within a certain geographic of where the construction, we've given another year extension on that. So that's good. But here you go, pausing applications in August. Here's what you need to know about all of these pauses in application. What we're doing is we're improving the system. Anybody that applied before August 1 will be processed in the order that they were received. During the pause, we're not going to take new ones, and then all new applications will be through the new system, which will make it easier, better, faster, we hope. Easier being the operative word. If people do have a contract coming that they're bidding on, this is where they will need to email to say, I need my certification done much sooner. I also just recommend you get in touch with me. My contact info is coming up. We really, really encourage you to wait to apply. And if you need help, our friends with Apex Accelerators sitting at the table back there, they are the best resource going for all things SAM and applying for certifications. I will tell you too, we've got a virtual suppliers conference coming up. This will be going out in our slides, I think, but it's Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Colorado. I've gotten together to do a DoD Midwest Virtual Suppliers Conference. That's going to be in September. So the people that are here in this room are the right people to be a part of that. These are the folks that are involved so far in that event. And that showed up kind of funny. Okay, the colors were off, but here is that's my email. You can't see the rest of it because it's in white, but there is my email. And I thank you very much. I really encourage everybody to get some level of involvement in government contracting. Just get your foot in the door. We're happy to help you do that.
Thank you, Ms. Haymaker. Oh, there we go. Since 1985, Apex Accelerators has been bridging the gap between commercial businesses and government contracting, acting as a first point of contact for contractors to explore opportunities with the government. Please welcome Scott Knapp from Apex Accelerators.
Hello. I thought Sarah was going to go on and do mine, but I guess I have to come up here. So Apex Accelerators, you may have heard of Kansas PTAC before. For 10 years, a little over a year ago, we changed names. So basically, we assist businesses in locating, obtaining, and performing contracts, whether it's at the federal, state, or local government. Again, it was created back in 1985 under the PTAC program. And, now we're under Apex. We're part of the Department of Defense Small Business Office. And we're also, we're part of Wichita State as the lead of the organization. And then we have offices at Pittsburgh and at Johnson County Community College. One of the big things that we work with every day is the SAM system. If you're already in that, you know what fun it is. And I was just listening to part of a webinar. Hopefully they're going to be doing some changes to make that a little easier to navigate. We also work with the SBA's program, Dynamic Small Business Search, which allows small businesses to put in information so that contracting officers like the people here today from McConnell can find out for sure what you do. So you can put in keywords that tell what it is you do so that they can better understand doing business with you. This is just a rundown of some of the things that we do on a daily basis, working with clients one-on-one, doing training sessions like this, helping you identify the current opportunities, and then work with you in how to put together that bid or quote or proposal, understanding that whole 100 pages of documents that you may see. We go back and look at procurement history to help you understand who you might want to do business with, because you may want to do business with the National Park Service as opposed to DoD. We work with all those agencies. We also have a bid match service. It goes out and looks at probably about 3,500 sites a day and brings that information back to you. Right now, it's free to you. Wichita State's picking up the tab on that. And that looks at federal, state, and local government operations. It's based on NAICS codes, North American Industry Classification, and keywords. Again, we work with helping you complete the representations and certifications that you have to tell the government about your business, and understanding the federal acquisition regulations, the 2,000 pages of 6-point type. That's one part of what the regulations and how they have to do business with you. So again, the small business, the government wants to do business with small business. 23% of their spend is to go to small business. That's the goal. And you can see there are other goals, and Sarah just touched on those. Again, to work with us, you just have to be able to sell products or services that the government buys on a regular basis. Very seldom do we run into anything that they don't buy. Don't be on the excluded list. Don't be debarred. Don't be in trouble with the government for not delivering on time or not delivering what you said you were going to. You know, we recommend you have somebody who on a regular basis is working in this, because it's pretty high level. To get to that point and having to start over again is not a good idea. A plan for how you want to do business. I wanted to talk just a minute about sam.gov. If you're not in there already, we help people with that every day. You need to go to get a login. It's a dual authentication program, and that allows you to get in to start putting together your profile within SAM. And these are some of the things that you need to have in order to get that information. Again, Sarah touched on all of these different opportunities you have for certification. And just remember, you've gone from bidding with everybody in the world to small business, only small business bidding, and then those various certifications. Right now, the women-owned business probably is at about 11,000. I just read a few minutes ago that service-disabled veterans about 24,000. The hub zone is only maybe 4,000, 4,500 companies nationwide in every industry. So if you can qualify for that, you're in a small group, and probably only about 2,500 of those 4,500 are actually bidders on a regular basis. And again, we work with all of those programs that Sarah has just outlined, helping you get ready to get the information into the Certify SBA. Cybersecurity. We're hearing about it every day, but 2017, DoD started this program. It's based on what's referred to as a NIST 800-171. It directed you to have to do a self-assessment to see where you fit within the physical and computer security within the government. Project Spectrum is a DoD contractor that tracks all this information, puts it on their website. The self-assessment is there. Self-assessment is 110 controls, about 320 questions about your business, the things that go on within your computer systems, the security. Do you have somebody here to sign you in, keep track of people that are coming in your business? How do you keep the technical documents that you might have under control so nobody's seeing those that shouldn't? All those things are within that 110 questions. And then it gets supplied to the supplier performance risk system, where people like the contracting folks here can go in and see what your risk level is. And eventually they're going to be looking at that risk level to see, should they give you that contract? Again, it's only available to the people who need to make those kind of decisions. Prime contractors don't have access to that. I know that if you're working with Textron, they will ask you to send them a letter that says you are in that system. Because this came up, our Apex is one of 97 across the country, and we communicate a lot. This came up in one of our regional meetings the other day. If you have gone through the self-assessment, you have access to what's called controlled unclassified information that we don't want the adversaries to have. Can you then provide that to a subcontractor, whether you're a prime or a sub, to a down system from you? Don't be doing that unless you know they have also complied with those cybersecurity rules. And that's what that's telling you. There's some of the other information on that. And then this is the upcoming. It was out once, got brought back. The rules are being put together as we speak. CMMC is a cybersecurity maturity model certification. It's going to be an audit system. So the self-assessment of your cybersecurity is going to be moved to an audit system. So just like your bookkeeping is audited, this is going to be audited. If you're at a commercial level, you probably will still be able to do self-assessments. But if you have information that is considered CUI, the covered unclassified information, you will be complying with this in order to do business with the DoD. And it's going to be coming to the other parts of government just on a slower basis. DoD is the lead in this. If you want to do business with us, there's no charge. We've been prepaid with your taxes. So Kansas Apex, we are still using the ptac.org URL at this point. It'll change in the near future, but it will be forwarded so you can register online. Again, no cost for that. We also have events that we are involved in presenting at all the time. And this is just where you would start the information that you have to provide to us. This is a list of our upcoming trainings that we do, some virtual, some in person. The competing for government contracts, there's some of those that are in person at Johnson County Community College. Again, that's our contact information.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Our next speaker is from SourceAmerica, an AbilityOne program committed to advancing job opportunities and independence for individuals with disabilities. Please welcome Gina Drake.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And I want to thank all of the folks over at McConnell Air Force Base and all of their partners for putting together this. This is really nice, this industry day with all the fabulous food. I'm not really used to being treated that well when I come out on installations. But I want to thank everyone. But today they wanted me to just do a very high-level overview of the AbilityOne program and talk specifically about how you can subcontract with AbilityOne and with the federal government and industry. So I'm gonna touch on just a little bit of that, but I have a table set up in the back where I have handouts and flyers with next codes, contact information and things like that. So when it's all done, please feel free, come and take some of the tchotchkes. I brought pens and these things I won't have to carry back on the plane. If you take them with you, I'd appreciate it. So I guess I have clicker, I guess it's me. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year at SourceAmerica. We're real proud of that. So I had to put the little flyer up just so everybody can see. This is my information. So before we get started, I really want to talk about our capabilities because a lot of folks, they're familiar with the AbilityOne program, SourceAmerica, but they are not always as familiar with how vast our capabilities are. And I start out with this to let you know, if you want to work with the AbilityOne program, SourceAmerica, we have a vast array of capabilities. I have the list up here. And under each of these categories, we have multiple subcategories. For example, facilities management, you have numerous areas under facilities management. We can do very small contracts or we can do huge TFM contracts, and we have many huge TFM contracts. So don't assume or make an assumption about our capabilities. If there's an opportunity out there and you want to work with us, or if you think you might want to, just give us a call and we'll be able to, look at it, assess it, and let you know. We never commit to anything that we do not have the capabilities to do. So I want to just start out and let you know that. So a little bit about the program structure of the AbilityOne program. It is a federal program, and it starts out with, of course, the President of the United States. It's his program. He appoints members to the U.S. AbilityOne Commission. They oversee the AbilityOne program. There's 15 members. 4 of those members, those slots, are usually reserved for individuals who are blind or have significant disabilities. You know, sometimes this could change over each administration, and sometimes they'll stay around for a while. But we finally have all 15 slots filled this year. We're really happy about that. I've been with SourceAmerica for about 8 years now, and this is the first time I've actually seen all of the slots full, and we're really happy about that. Okay, beneath and this is a very small agency. There's no way they will be able to administer this huge program by themselves. So they appoint 2 central nonprofit agencies below that. One is National Industry for the Blind. Most folks are familiar with that. Skillcraft Products is one of their major brands. And then SourceAmerica, some of the old timers might remember us as Niche. We got rebranded some time ago. So now we're SourceAmerica. I can always tell how long someone has been in the federal government because I'll walk up and they'll say, I don't know who you are, but I do remember Nib Niche. And I'll say, okay, if you remember Nib Niche, we used to be Niche, but now we're SourceAmerica just because some of the terminology within that title lost favor, is not appropriate. So we rebranded ourselves. So beneath SourceAmerica, you have all of the nonprofit agencies. These nonprofit agencies, they don't work for Source, they don't work for any of the central nonprofit agencies. They're independent agencies. They're in all 50 states and all the U.S. territories. They must have a 501c3. They must actually have a mission to provide employment for individuals with significant disabilities. 75% of their agency ratio must be individuals with significant disabilities. So I say all of that to say that if you see a contract out there, these are individuals with significant disabilities, and it's no way you would know that by looking. I say that because I often hear folks will come and say, I saw Disability One contract and not one disabled person on the contract. And I say, how you know? Do you know what a disability looks like? In some cases you do, but in most cases, not so much. Okay. And so, and beneath the nonprofit agencies, of course, is that federal customer. They have all the requirements. We're out there, SourceAmerica, National Industry for the Blind. We're out there, federal installations. We're just looking for work. We're trying to employ individuals with significant disability. We're proud to say that we are one of the largest sources of employment for people with disabilities in the United States. So that's our structure. Now, a little bit high level, and I'm not going to get into the whole history of the Ability One program, but you could definitely go to the website and look it up. But the program began back in 1938. President Roosevelt wanted to create a way for individuals who are blind to sell products at military installations, around at military buildings and so forth. You notice that all of the stores that are run on all of the federal buildings, they're all National Industry for the Blind. National Industry for the Blind, our sister agency, they're around a lot longer than us. They always let us know that too. But that's our sister agency. And then about in 1971, program got amended. The Wagner-O'Day Act got amended by Jacob Javits, presented it because we wanted to incorporate individuals with significant disabilities to that. And prior to that time, it was just for blind people. So then in about 1971, SourceAmerica, we wanted to be able to gather together all of these nonprofit agencies under one network so that when requirements became available, there was one way to easily assess it. And so we created what was then Niche, now SourceAmerica. And that's it. That's the little background on how the whole program got started. Then administration of the program, as I mentioned, federal agency, the U.S. Ability One Commission. They're in charge of overseeing the program. And then they have the 2 central nonprofit agencies. And we say CNAs is the term you'll often see, CNA or NPA, Central Nonprofit Agency or Nonprofit Agency. That's what you'll see more often. And I wanted to share that of those 15 appointees that we mentioned, 4 of them in DOD. And these are the new appointees for DOD currently right now. And this is the partnership and what it looks like. It can be very complicated. So just a quick look at it, just so you understand how the whole partnership flows. So if you look at the top up, you have the Ability One Commission, who's in charge of the entire program. Their major responsibility is to validate fair market price for all of the contracts, and then to reserve the contracts for products and services for the Ability One procurement list. Then you have the nonprofit agencies who actually, the nonprofit contractors, because they are contractors, the nonprofit contractors, they provide the turnkey service at a fair market price. And then you have the federal customer, you have representation on the commission, you actually have nonprofit agencies that represent you in providing the services. SourceAmerica, we assist everyone. We're in the middle, we have responsibilities. We assist the Ability One Commission, because as I mentioned, it's a very small agency, about 30 of, it's one of the smallest, it's about 30 people in the entire commission. So we're out there, we actually do the legwork for them. We assist them with identifying the nonprofit agencies, developing the fair market prices, and you can see it's a lot of the other things. We assist the nonprofit agencies with their contract development, procuring the contract itself, technical representation. We have subject matter experts pretty much in every area on our staff that assist on all contracts. They're there. It's at no cost to our customers. It's just added value, but we do have technical expertise in almost all areas. And we also help with quality control. We have a whole quality control team that's out there beating the pavement, ensuring quality and meeting standards of all performance work statements. And then you, as the federal customers, we actually assist with and actually provide contractor selection, fair market price evaluation before we present a price to you from the nonprofit agency. We've pretty much screened it to determine if it's fair market price. It goes to the commission for the final, for the final approval. Okay, so this is what Ability One Commission timeline looks like, just for your information. It takes about 9 to 12 months to add something to the Ability One Commission, to the Ability One procurement list. And the last 150 days of that is actually at the commission, who's looking at it, validating it, making sure, voting on it, and deciding if they want to take it out of the private sector and add it to the Ability One procurement list. Subcontracting, which is what I really want to talk to you guys about. There is a way to subcontract with the Ability One Commission. There's a lot of good reasons for doing that. From the federal standpoint, it actually helps with the 1% goal that the DoD has committed to. So anything with the subcontracting, you can use that towards your goals with the federal government. And then from the industry standpoint, you can use that as your small business goals for your larger contract. Our subcontractor program is designed to be for large multi-service contracts. And what we would do is we would chisel out a portion of those contracts, or better yet, the government would chisel out a portion of those contracts and earmark a percentage or a section. For example, you might say 15% of this contract would go to the Ability One program. Well, that would count towards your 1% goal. Or you might say, just the custodial portion of it. And in the industry, what you would do is, if you have a contract, what you would do is you would use us. You would give us your performance work statement, say, I'm interested in using the Ability One program to fill my small business goals. Then we'll look at it. We'll tell you if we have the capability, if it's possible. We would go through our screening. We would provide you with the number of nonprofit agencies that could potentially meet that goal, and it would be up to you to make a selection from that. So there's ways to subcontract for the benefit of the federal government and industry. And of course, for us, it would provide jobs for individuals with significant disabilities, and we appreciate that. This is just talking about the DoD commitment to a 1% goal. That means 1% of the overall spend to be used toward the Ability One program. We're hoping to get that done over a 5-year period. Right now, we're at 0.5%. So we have a long way to go, but it is 0.55% to be exact. So we have a long way to go, but we're making great strides through adding products to the Billy One products and services to the Billy One procurement list. And most important now, a lot of these subcontracting on these large contracts are really helping out with those dollars. A lot of added value. I talked about the subject matter expertise. We have subject matter experts in all the technical areas. We have the quality control team, lots of them that are available. This is just added value. We have the pricing managers who helps and assists with ensuring fair market price. We also have account managers in all Ability One or procurement list contracts. There's a manager at SourceAmerica that stays on the life of the contract. The contract is actually with the nonprofit agency. You'll still have your project managers and so forth. But from the SourceAmerica standpoint, you have someone overseeing it. On every contract, there would be a project manager. And then you have me, your Ability One representative. We're out there just beating the pavement, looking for contracts and providing training as necessary. Last thing I want to talk about real quick, mainly because I'm a soldier, 20 years in the Army, I just like to share that we are very, very involved with our veterans and wounded warriors. We have lots of programs and initiatives to help them return to work. We have training, we have mentorship programs, internships. We do lots of things. Some of our nonprofit agencies work exclusively with wounded warriors. So there are a lot of good works that we're doing. Currently, we have over 3,000 wounded warriors and veterans on contracts around the United States and in our territories. We're very proud of that. So just understand that when you're out there and you're working with us, you're also helping out your fellow veterans and wounded warriors. And we're real proud to let everyone know that we do that type of work. This is my information, and this was fast. I give lots longer briefings, but just to give you the touch on a high-level overview, I do have handouts on a subcontractor program. If there's something you're interested in doing, subcontracting with the Ability One program, National Industry for the Blind, or SourceAmerica, I have the information. We have a dedicated person that works exclusively on a prime contractor program, and they'll be happy to assist you. So are there any questions? I think I'm on time. I'm always over time, and he's been giving me help from not over talking like I always do. So thank you. Any questions? Okay, well, I'm at a table back here. I'll be here to the end. Please stop by and pick up some tchotchkes, pick up some handouts, and get my contact information.
Okay, so this is a little bit of what we're going to talk about. We're going to discuss our mission, what the contracting squadron does, a portfolio overview. We're going to talk a little bit about metrics of where we spend our money, how we spend our money, contracts that are expiring, and opportunities that are coming up for you. Something that we're doing that's a little unique to a lot of industry days that I've seen in the past is we are actually telling you some of the problems that we have going into prior to being ready for contracts, right? So a lot of times you hear about contracts as they are ready to go on the street. And at that point, market research has already been done. And sometimes we've missed what industry can provide. So stick around to the end. We'll talk about those and get some information from you. Okay, so McConnell Air Force Base is home to 3 distinct organizations. The 22nd Air Refueling Wing, that was Colonel Damon and Colonel Hemphill, who you saw earlier. They fall in that organization. We employ roughly 4,000 people in support of global reach and air refueling. We utilize the KC-135 Stratotanker and the KC-46 Pegasus. The air refueling wing can deploy personnel anywhere around the world within hours. So our contractors, you make that possible for us, and we appreciate that. The installation is also home to the 184th Wing of the Kansas Air National Guard and the 931st Air Refueling Wing of the Air Reserve Component. We have Rachel Axon here from the 931st. So if you're interested in tagging up with them, she's your point of contact. Okay, so a little bit about the 22nd Contracting Squadron. We're divided into 3 different flights. The first is services and commodities. Second is acquisition planning, and the third is construction. So most of the contracts are let out of those 3 3 flights, there is a large component of what we do that's done through the government purchase card program. So contracts that are under $10,000 are automatically purchased with the government purchase card. If there is a pre-existing, pre-priced contract, then some of our government card holders are able to purchase up to $25,000. We are improving and increasing what's called the expanded use program through the contracting squadron. So contracts that are above those dollar values, a warranted contracting officer can make that purchase. Keep in mind that if you're charging any kind of a fee to use a card, that will be evaluated as part of the contract price and could impact how you're evaluated. All right, in the last 5 years, from FY19 through FY23, not including FY24, we awarded $199 million in contracts. That does not include your IDIQ contracts. This is just task orders and actual standalone contract awards. And of that $199, $188 million of that went directly to small business. So when we say that we're committed to small business, we mean it. So we have about 99% of our contracts go directly to small business. All right, this slide is giving a comparison between last fiscal year, FY23, and where we are so far. So you might be seeing on this slide that there's a disparity between FY24 and FY23 and the amount of money that we have obligated and the number of dollars. So there's a couple of reasons for that. For the anomalies there. First, we awarded a $26 million dorm renovation project. So that really increased our dollars. So if you remove that $26 million, you can see that we're on trend with where we were in FY23. The reason for the decrease in actions is largely impacted by the continuing resolution and how we didn't start getting money until well into the fiscal year. So that is the reason behind that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we buy. So you are already familiar if you are registered in SAM, you're already familiar with what a NAICS code is and what a product service code is. These are the top 10 in each of these areas. This is the product service code. So you can see that the bulk of the things that we buy money-wise goes to construction and construction type projects. Once we take those out, things start leveling off, and you'll see that a lot of that has to do with maintaining the flight line and with maintaining buildings. NAICS codes, similar. The information here shows something a little bit different. You can see that the majority of the dollars by NAICS code is reflected in housekeeping, telecommunications, landscaping, and medical services. One thing to keep in mind, if you're not familiar, the Department of the Air Force has divested most of their medical purchases to DHA, the Defense Health Agency. So you'll see that those numbers eventually will start coming down. So if you do provide medical services, recommend that you reach out to DHA for service contracts. All right, so the next few slides, we're going to talk about how McConnell directly supports small business. So there's a lot of metrics on here. I'm not going to go into complete detail on these because you're going to have these slides to peruse at your own leisure. But if you have questions as you're reading them, please reach out to me and I can explain. This slide is showing that most of the dollars and actions went to small business, which we've already covered. In FY22, there was an increase. That increase was due to the award of the multiple award construction contract, or the MAC, and also the air show in FY22. So that's the reason for that jump. All right, so it's good to know that we have where our money goes and that kind of thing. But from a vendor perspective, I think it's interesting and it's important for vendors to know who's getting a piece of the pie, right? If the same contracts are going to the same vendors, that really doesn't give you a competitive edge. And so I wanted to point out that McConnell has increased our vendor base over the years. And with that, as you know, each vendor gets a unique identifier code. And you can see that in FY24, we've already awarded to 74 unique companies. And in FY23, excuse me, those were small businesses. And in FY23, we had 140 new or individual small businesses. This is a bit of an eye chart that you'll want to look at when you get this back to the office. The key takeaway here is that even though the numbers are somewhat skewed from year to year, and we're only halfway through, we are on trend with the types of small businesses that we award to. So you can see that the lion's share is just small business across the board. Second to that is disadvantaged businesses, small disadvantaged businesses, followed by woman-owned small businesses. And I think that's probably pretty consistent across the Air Force because of the way that the goals align. So this is probably something similar to what you'll be seeing at most installations. Keep in mind that a business can be counting towards more than one category. So please don't take this as this was an award to this business. Something else was it. Some vendors could be counting against more than one. Okay, for our small business goals, which we touched on, this is what it looks like for FY24. So you can see that we are exceeding some of our goals. We are almost to our goal for service disabled veteran-owned small business. We are struggling currently to meet our woman-owned small business and our hub zone. It's not unusual for these numbers to fluctuate throughout the year. That's based on the amount of dollars that get awarded. So if you were to award a large, let's just say that dorm project, that skewed some of our numbers, right? Because more percentage of dollars is going to a specific type of small business. So we expect that to fluctuate throughout the year. Hub zone is one that we definitely struggle with. So SBA has touched on this in the past. If you feel like your company could be successful in a hub zone area, strongly recommend that you consider moving. And after talking to SBA, because it is so hard to meet those goals, it will definitely increase your chances of award. All right, so now we're going to get into our current contract portfolio. Oops, excuse me. So you may have heard in operational contracting the term the big three. The big three are the main three service contracts that all operational contracting squadrons have. That includes your refuse, which is your trash, recycling, those types of things. Grounds maintenance, which includes what you would expect, landscaping. It also includes ground pest control and other nuanced areas, and custodial is self-explanatory. So I have provided for you who the current contractors are that own the that are the incumbents, as well as the dollar value. So this information is available for free. You do not need to hire somebody to do a FOIA request for you. We can provide you with contract awardees, dollar value, many things without paying somebody to ask you for a FOIA. Similar to the services big three, most operational contracting squadrons have a big three of construction contracts. We're no different. So we have the multiple award construction contract, also known as the MAC. That's where our big projects go to. We also have the simplified acquisition of base engineering requirements, or SABRE. It's a lot easier to say SABRE, isn't it? That handles our smaller dollar projects. And thirdly, there is the architect and engineering contract. We just awarded an A&E contract to two separate vendors on an IDIQ, and that will be going for the next 5 years. Again, I've provided you with the awardees and a general idea of what the ceiling amount is for those IDIQs. All right, we do have a couple of honorable mentions. We've already talked a little bit about the dorm repair, and we have a base telecommunications service. A few of you have asked me about cybersecurity. Kevin Gauthier in the purple shirt is your point of contact, and he does have some requirements coming up. So if you haven't talked with him, recommend that you reach out. We also I have but for some specialized specialized problems, right? And so that also includes the custodial contract. So there are some specific things that need to happen in a child development center arena. So keep that in mind. And transient alert and wash service, that's when we have contract or aircraft that come in on an emergency service or if they need to take a break. And so we wash the aircraft, get it back out and ready for flight. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on this because we've already had SBA and Apex Accelerator talk to you about what SAM.gov is. I just threw this up here so you could understand where to find open solicitations. I know that there can be some frustration with small businesses about where do I find these solicitations? I'm hearing about these contract awards, but we never saw that there was something posted. So there is a possibility that your project or the project that you're talking about was posted to GSA or Air Force Advantage or eBuy. Those are part of the federal supply schedule. And we also will do oral solicitations. And that's just a fancy way of saying we're going to call you and ask for a quote. We typically do that with our GPC purchases and also if we're looking for a local vendor. So along with that, why haven't I seen some solicitations? Part of that is that we do have mandatory sources. Some of those are mandated by federal acquisition regulation. That would be Unicor. If a project is already in the 8A program, it stays in the 8A program and goes to an 8A vendor. The Ability One procurement list, if a product is or service is on that list, we must go to that contractor, to an Ability One contractor. Locally, we use Envision Express, which is our on-site, on-installation office supply project. So a lot of the calls that I get are about, I can offer you the best price on office supplies. And we do not do office supplies through open source. We go directly to our Envision contractor. All right, I am not going to read this to you, but I am going to explain a little bit about what this is. So we have the federal acquisition regulation tells us who our mandatory sources are. Beyond that, the Air Force has said, you know what, enterprise sourcing, strategic sourcing can save us millions of dollars a year. If we take if every installation buys a certain type of thing, let's just say office furniture, we can save money if we all buy from the same IDIQ contractors. So this is what these are. The federal categories that are listed are determined by the government-wide Category Management Council, Leadership Council, and the Office of Management and Budget. I do not have every single category up here. What I've added are the Air Force mandated projects or contracts, IDIQs. So I'm going to give you a moment to read them, go to the next slide, and we'll do that for a few minutes. Okay, so what I would like to do is draw your attention to the program that you were given when you checked in today. If you haven't looked through that, you may not have realized that there are some QR codes that you can scan. Number one, to go to some of our partners, but also to actually see an more extensive list of what I'm showing you today. So I'm not going to read all of this. I'm going to point out a few things that are important to us, but I'm not going to tell you everything. All right, so recently, Colonel Thompson and I met with squadron commanders, and we asked them, what do you think you're going to need in the next 2 to 5 years? And so this is what they told us. Some of these contracts are coming sooner than others. Some could be about 5 years out that they know something might be coming. So we'll go ahead and go through that. These are our aircraft-related projects that we are anticipating. The one that you need to be focused on now, if you are someone who provides paint booth replacement, that is critical to us right now. We need to get that replaced as soon as possible. And it's kind of a snarly type of acquisition. So if you have good solutions for paint booth repair, and when I say paint booth repair, I mean aircraft painting, we would be interested in seeing some capability statements from you. All right, some upcoming engineering requirements. We talked about pest control. We're also looking into potentially getting some bug spraying. We're looking into potentially having a handyman contract, which would be kind of your micro construction projects, right? Things like changing a doorknob and, you know, if you've got a light fixture that needs to be taken care of. I might be oversimplifying what the requirement is, but that gives you an idea of the scale. So we're looking at whether or not that makes sense to have an IDIQ, a BPA, something else. So if you have experience with that and you're a construction contractor, let us know what you've seen work at other bases and what you would recommend for us locally. All right, cyber and IT. We have several things that are coming up. Imminent requirements include the AV improvement project at the Dole Center and upgrading the E911 system for the base, and alert media has been gaining some traction as a requirement. So those are IT related things that we're getting. All of these are force support squadron requirements. These are all imminent. So these are coming soon, and some of them are probably already on the street. For logistics, we are looking at several different things. You may have seen, I talked to somebody about the Postal Service contract. That's one that's up for renewal. We also have a box cutting machine. Most of these are supplies, right? The two that are service related are the Postal Service and the upcoming hoist and crane service contract. Security. I've talked to a few people about security related requirements. Something that's unique that's coming to McConnell is doing a K9 officer obstacle course and designing that. So if you have really good information on how to do a really nice K9 obstacle course on what helps with training, we would like to talk to you about that. The other big thing for security is always radios. Radios. We always need radios. All right, transportation related. This is your normal run-of-the-mill Polaris, a golf cart to move around the base. One of the things that's kind of unique since I've been here is that we're looking for a driving simulator in the next few years. So that could include security forces training, or driving training. It could also include flight line types of vehicles. So we're looking into that. Same thing, just a reminder to look at your QR codes for a list of expiring contracts. And I have narrowed these down to the next, for the rest of 2024 and for 2025. I'll give you a moment to take a look at those, and we'll be posting potential follow-on solicitations. Finally, and this is what we talked about at the beginning of the briefing, is problem statements. So these are areas that we need help with, but we are not either ready for a contract solution or we're not smart enough in the solution, and that's where we need industry's help. So if you have great ideas on these following projects, we want to talk to you. We want to get your capabilities briefings. You can send those directly to me. You can send them through our LinkedIn page, and I'll submit those to the correct people, but here we are. One of the organizations is currently they do KC-46 and they share hangar space. They're looking to make sure that they are able to utilize the hangar space effectively. So we even do things like interior decorating. Lots of Cisco projects coming up, and a lot of training requirements for Power BI, those types of activities. One of the areas that we've run into is security. I talked to someone about that, about our gate security. That's an area that's coming up that we need to get some information on. Tool control. Okay. So I don't want to keep you any longer. A lot of these, you've got all of these in the QR codes. Please go out there, review those. Let us know if that information is helpful to you. My hope is that by knowing what we have coming down that will be posted, you can better resource yourself for where you want to go. You can also reach out to us about areas that are truly meaningful to the installation and not just shooting in the dark about what we might want to do. So this is how you can reach me. Like I mentioned, the LinkedIn page, that's new. Not a lot of posts out there yet, but I would like to know what you'd like to see on our LinkedIn page. If you'd like me to post frequently the upcoming expiring contracts, if that was helpful to you, let me know. If it's not helpful to you, then we won't post it. But if it is important to you, which I suspect it is, I would like to make sure that you're knowing that. So what I would like to do now is turn it over to Colonel Thompson for our closing remarks. And once we have closed, please continue to stick around if you haven't had a chance to talk to a contracting person, a requiring activity person, one of our guests, or if you just want to talk to another contractor about potential subcontractor opportunities. Thank you for your time.
Hey, everybody, thanks for sticking around. First, I'm just kind of floored with the event today. The OnRamp Hub has put on a wonderful space for us. The food was great. It really, I think, facilitated some great conversation both before the event and then in between in the break there. I myself had some great interactions with some folks here, and I'm just really excited for this. You know, our leadership mentioned that this is the first time that we've done this, and it's taken a big risk for a small team of us to lean forward and say, okay, well, who's going to show up? What are we going to talk about? Right? There's a lot of energy that goes into this that is completely external to the execution of contracts for the base. So I'm really excited and really proud of my team for what they've done and the relationships that we're building, both with our partners that helped us run this event and with you all that are in the room still. I can't help but to mention that, and I always like to do this, especially if we're doing something with local community, that I'm really proud as a native Kansan, a KCK guy, a Wyandotte County, you know, going to high school in KCK, and then 17 years in the Air Force, I come back around, and now for 2 years, I've been working with the 22nd Contracting Squadron, just having this wonderful opportunity, very grateful to be serving the Air Force Base and serving Wichita and living with my family in the community and being a part of all of it as a Kansan. So pretty exciting for me, just being able to do that. And seeing the partnerships that we're building and the commitment of the base to the local community and to, you know, those of you that came in to try to do business with us here at McConnell that aren't necessarily from Wichita, wonderful too. But yeah, just a wonderful experience, wonderful opportunity. And I think it's growing. And what I'd really like to see this become is kind of a regular drumbeat of events that look kind of like it. You know, it won't be all the same thing that we did today, but maybe it'll be some pitch days down the road, and that we're just kind of trying to build all of that interaction that makes us better as a base and gives a lot more opportunity out to the innovation and the expertise that exists in industry. So really excited about that. The second part that I really have to get after here is that, again, my team is a pretty small team of about half military, half civilians, and they've got a lot of work. Very, very kind of dense group with a lot of workload, not a lot of people. For them to lean forward and do this kind of event, it makes me really proud, and it shows the kind of passion that they have for doing what helps move this thing forward, not just continuing to do contracts the same way that we've always done it or the same contractors that we've always done business with because it's easy. So again, really, really excited and proud of my team for this. with that said, will the folks that helped run this event from the 22nd Contracting Squadron please stand up real quick? Go on, go on. Yep, you too, Brandy. Thanks. Yeah. All right, you guys can sit now. I know that was awkward. But Brandy and I kind of started talking about this shortly after she took over as my director of business operations about a year ago. And we said, yeah, we need to get this thing off the ground, but getting it off the ground takes a lot, right? So thank you, Brandy, for having an open mind and for taking the, bites of the elephant as we went. And once she got some momentum going, working with the partners that we have with Apex Accelerator and the OnRamp hub here, we really saw some momentum going, and it turned into a great event today. So thank you for that. The lieutenants are the folks here in the service dress. This team, they take a lot of heat from me and trying to push things forward. A lot of my great ideas are, hey, let's get this done, and then it's me poking holes in everything that they're doing and all of the planning. So you've endured a lot of that with me, but again, great job supporting this event. Great job putting that foot forward today. So really appreciate that. Guys in the back, I've got a couple of contracting officers in the back, Vince and Sarneeb's back here. Actually, Vince Closa, cool story about him. He is one of select small percentage of enlisted members in the Air Force with an unlimited warrant. So he has the highest level of contracting expertise that you can gain in the Air Force, and that's as an enlisted member. You can go to him. He'll sign all the contracts today, right? No, really proud of the team. I had to take a moment to brag on everybody today. Just really appreciative of everybody here, appreciative of what we're doing to make business better in the Air Force, at the base, and in the Wichita area. So thank you for your time today. Please use the QR codes to plug in any questions. Again, we were deliberate about that. We didn't want to bog down things with just the one-off questions. We know that people have things very specific to their business or their interest in the base. Let's answer those questions. Let's open further conversations with me and my team. And then we'll go ahead and publish anything that's useful to the wider group through different correspondence with you. So yeah, please respond with any questions on there. And let's continue the conversations after today as well. We want to hear about what you would have wanted to see here, what the next event should look like. If you have suggestions on ways that we can get you involved more. For any of the folks that were, tuned in online, maybe there's some things that would be interesting to get more people in person, or if we could do things different on the virtual participation. So again, this is a growing experience. This is intended to be collaborative as we move forward. Please stick around, continue some of those conversations that you were having over some snacks earlier. And we really hope to see some of you again and a lot more of this type of interaction going forward. Thank you for all your time today. Appreciate it.